And I have whole sections in my book describing what everyone says the source is, God. They all describe it the same way. These are souls that have never been in any kind of a body at all. Can you imagine how traumatic it would be to come pure from the source and to this world
Yes,
now?
I can. Very disturbing. Very challenging.
Many people have done that. They go back to the source where they are one with God, where we all began. People are always asking me, they say in their session, I want to know where I'm from. So we're all from the same place. And they want to know, well, what about my home? I said, it's all the same place. They think of a home planet or something like that. That's not what it's about. It's all us. We all came from the source, from God, and that's where we all began. And when they're there, it is so full of love, and it's all this togetherness that they don't want to leave.
Yes.
So in the sessions, I asked them, well, why did you leave? It was so beautiful. I know they left because I'm talking to a body that's laying on the bed. Why did you leave? And they all say the same thing. We heard the call. They heard the call that went out, even to the other planets, to the space people, and to the ones who had never been out in from the source. We heard the call, Earth is in trouble. Will you go and help? And many of them describe meetings on the spirit side even, where they're saying, who wants to go and help? And I had one woman said, and I raised my hand. And she said, what was I thinking of?
No, there you go. So here she is, and here many of them are. And this story, so there are these consistencies you're hearing.
Oh,
from
I
these
do
waves.
thousands and thousands of people.
Yes.
When you get the same story for so many people, I put this all together like a puzzle.
Yes.
Bits and pieces. So the first wave were the ones that had the most trouble. I guess you would say they were in their later 50s, some were in their 40s, but some people say they think the early 60s would fall into the same pattern. It probably will, because that's about how long ago that we dropped the bomb. But these are the ones who don't want to be here. They're very unhappy. They have good families, they have jobs, but they don't want to be here. They don't like it. They want to go home. They don't know where home is, but they know it's not here. They don't like the violence, they don't understand it, and many of these first wavers have tried to commit suicide at different points in their life to get out of here.
I have a question at this point. If they came in and they went through the traditional thing that happens when you incarnate here, which is essentially a case of amnesia, and they don't understand consciously what they're doing here, what are they functionally doing while they're here to help shift those frequencies or further this evolutionary process?
The first wave are just living like everybody else. It's the second wave that are doing different things. But the first wave are the ones who don't want to be here, and they wanted to commit suicide, and they've had a very hard time. But the second wave, I found, would be in their 20s, 30s, maybe some over into the 40s. And when I'm doing them, they said they are called antennas, generators. They're here just to generate positive energy to affect everyone else.
Yes, that makes sense. My son is in that age group, and he and his friends are just beautiful beings who really do work toward generating communal friendships, supporting each other, non-judgment. It's beautiful.
Well, they said those kind of people can walk through a crowded mall or a store, and their energy will affect anyone that is there.
Yes.
Not consciously, they don't realize what they're doing, but their energy is supposed to be generated to affect other people. And I've had people come and say, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing here? And the second wave, they'll usually say, you're just to be. And they don't like that when they wake up. They say, but I wanted to be doing something. All you're supposed to do is just be and allow the energy to affect other people.
Yes.
But the irony of it is that a lot of the second wavers don't like people, and they don't want to be around them. Their energy bothers them, but they're supposed to be affecting people, so they stay home. So they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. A lot of the second wavers, some of the first and the second, do get married, but a lot of them don't want to because it's just
it's sticky, it's dense, yes.
And the second wave especially, they don't want to have children because they said having children creates karma. And they don't want to make any more karma. They want to do what they're supposed to do and get out of here. They don't want to be stuck here because if they create karma, they're going to have to stay. So many of them don't want children, and they work from their home. The second waivers do, so they keep away from people. But they're very gentle, loving people. And I asked them one time, well, why did the first wave have such a hard time? And they said, somebody has to be the beginning. Somebody has to be the one that creates the path, the way shower. And they started, and then the others, the second wave, followed, so they had an easier time.
Yes. And that makes sense.
That's the
and
difference.
now their children are these little, amazing little 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, not theirs. It's just the third wave.
The third wave,
Yeah.
yes. The third wave of
Because
beings.
some of them don't
could
want
be,
children.
Right. Some of them could be, they're born to whomever, but that next one is really interesting.
The third wave are the children. And some of them now are in their teens. But these are the hope of the world. They're the gift of the world. They're here to really make a difference. And, of course, the last thing these children should be done is put on medicine and medication.
Gosh. Oh.
That's the last
Let's not
thing,
even
because
go there.
they are functioning at a different level. They have come in with all of their genetics, everything is in place, because they are a totally new species. And I've spoken at conferences about the new children where they're trying to educate the educators. And they have panels of these kids. And, you know, they're always saying, well, they're disruptive in the classrooms. That's why they have to put them on the medication. And they've said at the conferences, the reason they're disruptive is because they're bored.
Yes.
They said they say the teacher would ask them for an answer to a problem, a math problem or something. They tell them the answer. The teacher wants to know, how did you find the answer? And they said, I just know it. And to them, that's not enough. They want them to explain how they came by it. So that's very aggravating to one of these children. And another thing, they said they go over and over and over again the same material when I got it the first time. So they're bored. So what I was told to tell people, the teachers and the parents, is to give these kids challenges. But the other kids are doing the other stuff. Take these kids aside, maybe give them a special project, a paper to write, or something different that will challenge their minds. And they said, even if you just give them something, the younger ones, something to tear apart and put back together again.
Yes.
It's giving them a challenge.
So they can use their creativity and their knowledge. Yes.
Otherwise, they're sitting around, well, I don't, you know, I'm bored, I don't want to do this again. Give them something different. And that's how they should be treated. And they have a different way of thinking because they do grasp everything so quickly.
So what are they being, they've incarnated specifically for helping guide humanity, not just technologically, but in terms of science, in every which way, because of their ability to retain
like
knowledge?
I said, they're the gift of the world.
Yeah.
Nova had a special, it's been a few years ago now, where some of these kids were 10 years old and have already graduated from college.
Yes.
And some of these have already formed their own organizations. And it's interesting that a lot of the organizations they have founded have to do with helping the children of the world.
Yes. Yes, I'm aware
So
of
this
that.
is where they are going.
So they're going to be much more giving the gift of not just creating conscious community again on the planet, using
Getting it back to what it's supposed to be.
getting it back to what it's supposed to be.
Because the
yes.
rest of them were caught into the wheel of karma. They don't know how to solve their own problems, let alone the world's problems. These people don't have those basic karmic problems, so they can just go in a different way. They're putting the world into this new world, the new earth, because we're headed toward a wonderful time.
Yes, that's the good news.
Technology will be used in a wonderful way. So many wonderful things are happening. So these new children have a part in it. And the first and second waves have a part, but they've had difficulty.
And so from this point forward, it should become much more harmonious for the beings that are choosing to incarnate during this period. Because, as you write about, this period is going to lead us to essentially parallel Earths in a sense.
Yes. This has never happened before, in the history of a universe that an entire planet will shift into another dimension. So we don't know what's going to happen. And it's the greatest show on earth. That all the ETs, the other beings, are out there watching to see, are we going to be able to pull it off?
And let's talk about what it is, what we're headed for.
Okay, but down through Earth's history, we've had many, many civilizations that have come and gone. We have reached the peak of what they could do. And then it was usually because of man's greed and power, they had to be destroyed and they were brought down again. And every time, the civilizations had to begin over from the very primitive stage, the very bottom. And it took so much time to build it up again. This time, they said they don't want to take the time to do that. We're losing too much. And the earth is a living being. It is going to go into its next incarnation. It is evolving. It's going to go whether we go or not. It doesn't care if it takes the human race with it, because we're like fleas on a dog.
Right.
And it would just as soon we all disappeared. So that's why it's going to do its thing. But if we want to go with it, we're going to have to evolve also. But because it is moving, it is evolving, and the frequencies and vibrations are changing as it moves into this other dimension. And there will be, this is where the variances come in. I get the answers are different, that there will be essentially two Earths.
Yes.
And one is the old Earth. And some people say, is that a physical Earth or not? I don't know, but it's a division and a shifting of the energies as it goes into another dimension. But the old Earth will still exist with all its negativity. This is where all the catastrophes will be, the wars, all of those things, because they say those people will stay with what they have created. And they have created that type of world. And in order for you to go with the earth, you have to change your vibrations and frequencies to shift also. But you can't change your vibrations and frequencies instantly. It would destroy the human body. So the ones that are heavy into negativity, they can't shift that fast. So by the time they catch up, they won't be able to. Their vibrations and frequencies are so low, they will stay with the old earth. But they said that doesn't matter. They'll get there eventually anyway.